This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
And we're back again for another midsummer episode of The Eagle. I'm your host, Jessica Marshall. I hope your summer's gotten off to a great start. We've been busy here in the Times Union newsroom for sure. We've got two great segments here for you on this episode, so let's jump right in. Summer in Albany means many things, but one constant that we look forward to every year is the Alive at 5 concert series at Tricentennial Park downtown. The series has brought some big and exciting names over the years, and 2025 seems like no exception. I'm going to throw now to Times Union Arts and Entertainment editor Rick Marshall, who's joined by two of the founding members of Middle-Aged Dad Jam Band, David Wain and Ken Marino. You may also know their names from movie franchises like Wet Hot American Summer and the television show The State that was on MTV in the 90s. Wain, Marino, and Middle-Aged Dad Jam Band are playing Alive at 5 on July 17th.
8, 6, 7,
5, 3, 0.
9.
Let's go!
It is wonderful to meet both of you. I gotta say, I'm excited to have you guys. I was so excited when they showed the lineup here and that you guys were coming here because I've been following your videos since the COVID era and this whole thing launched.
Thanks.
Big fan of your work together.
Appreciate that. But not individually, not our individual work.
I am also a fan of your individual work. I actually have been recommending The Residents to a lot of folks lately, Ken.
What if you were like, no, not your individual stuff. Your individual stuff is a little mundane.
Yeah, not so much that stuff. Welcome ahead in advance to Albany, New York. But first, before we even get into it, every band has an origin story. What led up to you deciding to get together and play?
We've known each other since we were 18 years old and when we met in college. And we've just been friends and worked together over all these decades. And as we got to this point in our lives where when we were in the pandemic, once that started to wane, we really yearned to hang out and do stuff together. Plus then the strike happened and we had some extra time and we started jamming in the garage just for fun, as dads sometimes do. And little by little, it just became more and more of a thing, and very organically it turned into a band, and we just started doing little shows, and then now we're doing some touring, and it's really fun.
Every step I take reminds me of just how we used to be. Well, how can I forget you, girl, when there is always something there to remind me?
I do love that the evolution of this happened in that, normally most of the time people form a garage band back in high school and then eventually, stop doing that and get into other things. But you guys are kind of following the reverse course here.
We're doing it all backwards.
Well, the performances have been a really amazing surprise for fans who didn't expect, you and your guests to be so, I guess, musical. What has that dynamic been like? As I'm sure, you've encountered friends and fans who were surprised by all of this, and you've probably been surprised by some of the guests you've had on too.
It's been a treat to get, so many, talented people on. But when we put out the invite, we always try to find people who are like to sing, enjoy singing, or have like actively kind of said to us, "Hey, when can I do one?" A video, and it's always fun and exciting to see, listen to people's voice, and to be like, oh wow, they're fantastic singers. We've been very lucky to get a lot of our friends to come in and sing with us, and they sound fantastic.
Jenny, don't change your number. 8675309. 8675309.
And part of the fun, though, is that it's like a hybrid between, a side hustle thing that we're doing and just a true fun hobby with friends. And Ken and I are not professional musicians, and we just are doing this kind of for fun, but we're getting better and we keep working hard, and we're trying to make it sound and feel as good as we can, both live in our shows and on our videos that we make on YouTube.
Well, it's wonderful to see on my end of things too. I've been really enjoying it. How do you decide which songs to cover? What's the voting process like? What's the process like for picking a song?
First of all, they have to be really old.
Yeah, you have to listen to songs from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. The whole band, when the band was jamming originally, when David first put the group together, anybody would just yell out a song, and we try to figure it out, and we figured out which ones we were good at and which ones that needed a lot more work. And but then once we started doing shows, Dave and I sort of just put together the ones that we enjoyed doing, and the ones that kind of brought us joy, basically.
And a lot of the songs obviously have nostalgic value for us from our childhood and teenage years. And then different people might pitch songs, or guests might say, hey, can I sing this or that? And then suddenly we're like, we love that song. We're gonna keep it in the repertoire. We just keep adding. To me, so much the fun of it is to really take apart songs that I knew and have listened to my whole life, but then to actually really break it down and understand how it works, to learn how to play it, is a whole different level of appreciating these incredible songs and musicians.
There's certain songs that, like, there's overlap between the songs that David and I grew up with and we loved, right? And I would say that's probably like 75% of the songs that we enjoy. And then there's this like 25% of music that David was into that I never listened to, and 25% that music that I listened to that Dave wasn't into. And we kind of start to, kind of drop some of those in there. And it's fun because, like, David will be like, oh my gosh, I never heard that song, but it's so much fun to play. And
first I say, I've never heard that. No, this sucks. I hate this. And then we play it once or twice and I'm like, oh, right.
That is true sometimes.
I didn't realize this is incredible. Why didn't you tell me before? And he's like, I did.
Every time that I come near her, I just lose my nerve, as I've done from the start. Every little thing she does is magic. Everything she do just turns me on.
The number of people that join you for your performances in the videos tends to fluctuate a bit. How big will the group you're bringing to Albany be?
We have a group of, I think, like 9.
Yeah, I think it's 9,
something like that. Yeah, it's the live show group is always changing. I think it's 10 actually.
It's 10.
10 people on stage, and it's a really, really great selection of our group, and we have a lot of great singers on stage with us in Albany, and that's going to be a really fun outdoor festival-y feel.
That's
show.
Outdoors?
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yes,
fantastic.
It is. It'll likely be right near downtown Albany there, not too far from the Capitol.
Oh my gosh, that'll be a blast.
Well, you're coming a long way for the Albany show. Have you ever been to like upstate New York, this sort of area before?
Maybe we'll see Governor Pataki.
I don't know if see him. He's not as out and about anymore.
Right, that's probably true. I've been, we started in that group, The State at NYU, and Michael Patrick Jan, who's one of the members of the group, is from Albany, and I think we went up there to shoot his student film.
Yeah, I've been up to Albany a few times. I grew up in on Long Island, and then I just remember just taking road trips up with my family and stuff to different places upstate New York and stuff.
I think my father always used to tell me about, he grew up in Brooklyn and he would get like a crappy bicycle and ride all the way up to Albany.
That's quite a ride. But he's not the only person I've heard do that. So from that generation too.
But I haven't been there in a long time, so I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, it'll be a blast.
Well, I'm sure it's changed a bunch too, so it'll be interesting to see that. But you don't need to spoil anything. Are you planning on any special guests for the Albany show or other stops, around the region? Are you bringing out some for that?
Well, we do have Craig Wedren, who's the lead singer of Shudder to Think, who sings with us a lot.
Amy Miles,
and Nadia Quinn.
We're always trying to get guests for every show, and depending on the location, it's sometimes easier, sometimes harder, but we're always like reaching out, and a lot of times last minute people will be like, oh, we're coming to, we'll do a song. And so we don't know yet. We'll see who's going to be there.
I will give one hint of someone who I don't know if he'll be on stage with us, but you never know. And he is the hint is that he's the star of the movie Mission Impossible. This is not a guarantee, but he might be.
But Tom Cruise might be a guest?
I'm not saying yes or no.
Dave?
I'm not confirming it or not confirming it.
You're not denying it. You're not confirming it.
No.
Interesting. Well, that would be a lot of fun. Either way, if he's there, it'll be fun. And if he's not there, it'll be fun to just, think about why isn't he here?
And we can make fun of him.
Both the band and the audience.
Well, I would disappoint a lot of people if I didn't ask about at least one project outside of the band. So I'm going to go with Wet Hot American Summer. One of my favorites. People clearly bought into everyone playing younger versions of their characters in First Day of Camp. So anything's possible at this point. Have we seen the last of the Camp Firewood crew?
Who knows? I think it would be fun to, we showed what the first day of camp was when the actors were in their 40s. And then we did and so maybe, we'll do we'll show when they were like 12, now that the actors are in their mid 50s.
Sort of like the Benjamin Button of summer camp movies.
Who knows?
I would love to see that. And circling back, and it always gave me Wet Hot American Summer always gave me vibes of upstate New York summer camps. So that's
sure.
Absolutely.
outside of the band, what else are you working on these days? What are you both working on? What can we look forward to seeing you work on?
Well, we actually we wrote a movie and produced a movie that is being edited right now, literally as we speak, and we're hoping it will come out sometime next year.
That David directed, and both David and I are in, and actually a lot of people from the state have nice parts in it, and it's got a great cast.
And in a small preview of it, what's the song that you're most looking forward to people hearing at the show in Albany?
We added a new song that I've been enjoying, which is Signed, Sealed, and Delivered. And
we might also do a tribute to Wet Hot American Summer, because it's going to be 25 years anniversary next year, and there might be we're working on a little thing in the show about that.
And the truth is there'll be a few Billy Joel songs, which are always my favorite.
That New York state of mind.
That's right.
But you know what we do in our show? No filler, all bangers.
Brenda and Eddie were still going steady in the summer of 75. When they decided that marriage would be at the end of July. Everyone said they were crazy. Brenda, you know that you're much too lazy. And Eddie could never afford to live that kind of life.
Middle-aged Dad Jam Band is playing Alive at 5 at Tricentennial Park July 17th. You can see who else is coming to Alive at 5 and to other concert venues throughout the summer over at timesunion.com. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, let's explore why some communities in New York State are exploding in population while others are shrinking. We'll be right back.
The decisions made at the state capitol in New York impact all of us, from our property taxes to the cost of healthcare or our civil rights. It's all really complicated, but I'm here to help you sort through it. I'm Dan Clark, author of the Capitol Confidential newsletter from the Times-Union. Find that at capitalconfidential.com. That's capital with an O. capitalconfidential.com. See you there.
"12-year-old Jaliek Rainwalker vanished without a trace from a small upstate New York village on a cool November night in 2007. His adoptive parents say he ran away. Police believe he was murdered, but a body has never been found, and a suspect has never been named.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, okay, all right, but you don't want to talk.
Then when I learned they were trying to undo the adoption, that's when I learned that this story was very complicated, well, a lot more complicated than I even thought.
Almost 2 decades later, the case remains unsolved. I'm Jessica Marshall.
And I'm Wendy Libertar.
In this podcast from the Times-Union, we take a deep dive into the mystery of this missing child and try to find some answers.
So have you come to terms that Jaliek is probably dead?
Yes. Okay. I feel that he was killed on November 1st, 2007.
Available now, wherever you listen to podcasts.
If you're enjoying this podcast, take advantage of all the Times-Union has to offer and support our efforts to bring you award-winning journalism by becoming a Times-Union subscriber today. Go to timesunion.com/subscribe.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Eagle, a Times-Union podcast. I'm Jessica Marshall. Since 2022, more than 100,000 people moved to New York State. That's a pretty significant rebound from the pandemic era just a few years earlier, when about 500,000 New Yorkers packed up and left. Times-Union reporter Ashley Soebroto spent the better part of this year diving into the most recent population data in New York State. And she found some interesting trends. She joins me now to talk about them. So I guess we'll start with where the idea came from to take on a project like this. Where did you come up? How did you come up with this and decide to really dive into this?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is that me and an editor at the TU were looking at census data, and we knew for a long time that upstate New York has kind of seen, really fluctuating populations, especially throughout the pandemic. So that kind of, led to us wanting to explore census data and explore, what places are really losing communities and people and residents, especially in upstate New York. And so that kind of just, snowballed into the project.
Let's go through kind of the big takeaways that you got from this. I mean, overall, New York State's population is coming back. Like, we're talking about the whole state here. It's kind of bouncing back after the pandemic. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's absolutely accurate. New York actually lost about 500,000 people throughout the pandemic, which is a really large portion. Like from 2010 to 2020, it had gained 700,000. So quite a big percentage of that. But it is bouncing back, not quite to what we saw between 2010 to 2020. But I think just after the pandemic, people are coming back to the state.
Why overall? Is there like a reason that you think people are coming back? Because I know individual communities kind of have different kind of reasons why their populations are fluctuating. But overall in New York State, why do you think people are coming back?
Well, it's not exactly that people are coming back, but something that a lot of researchers have noticed is that, at least in New York State, a large portion of population gain is due to international migration. So, international immigrants, a lot of them are seeing New York State as a place where they can settle down or they can get a job, just a place full with a lot of opportunities. And so, because so many are seeing New York State as a great place to move to and are actually moving here, that is just, making the population go back up.
And is that tied to things like, investments in technology or anything that would kind of pull people from abroad for employment purposes?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why we're seeing gain in the big, metropolitan areas like New York City, Albany, Buffalo, those kind of places.
Yeah, let's drill down into that. So let's talk because we're in Albany here, and that's, the place that we're surrounded by. I mean, the capital region as a whole, I mean, I think you could drill down and find fluctuations, but the capital region as a whole has been growing, right?
Yeah, it is. It's not just Albany, but the suburbs around us. I mean, Colony is one of those places around Albany that saw a huge, growth just because, its proximity to Albany and the capital region.
So I'm looking at the map. We have this really cool interactive map that kind of shows these pockets of populations that have either grown or shrank significantly in New York. And, there's some pretty big, it's denoted by the size of a circle over a particular area. There's some pretty big ones, where they've seen like 300% growth. And I'm looking at Oil Springs Reservation, and then also down towards Long Island, there's like huge, huge areas of growth. What's going on there?
With places that are reservations, those are generally Indian reservations that are state and federally recognized. And so generally those places not a lot of people will report that they live there, and so those jumps look large because it's like one person reporting to four people reporting. And so we don't know exactly how many people are moving there or how many people are moving out. All we can know is how many people are reporting there, like that they live there. But we are seeing more of a growth like downstate where near New York City, just because it is, New York City and everyone knows New York City. And so a lot of people just tend to move there. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the Long Island thing is interesting though. I mean, Long Island is like kind of the largest concentration of where those big blue dots are on the map, which is denoting huge population gains. I wonder, I mean, is there anything specific to Long Island that you could find that Long Island isn't exactly an affordable place to live? So
Right, right.
what's going
Actually,
on?
what's pretty interesting, it's kind of similar to a lot of the Indian reservations, uh, not exactly on the same scale, where a lot of the villages there didn't have as many people, where it was like around 11, maybe 20 kind of people, but just the past decade, they've really grown to like maybe 40 or 50 people, which may not sound large, but when you're looking at it on paper and seeing that percentage change and calculating that, it is a pretty big, jump.
Now, let's talk about the communities in New York that are not growing, the ones that have seen significant declines in population. I think the top one, if my memory serves from reading your article, is in the North Country, right? Dannemora?
Yeah, Dannemora Village and Dannemora Town.
Yeah, what's going on up there?
Yeah, so for a long time, historically, these kind of communities have relied on large state prisons there that have provided a lot of economic opportunity and economic activity. But, with a lot of criminal, justice reform that has been happening since like 2010, we're seeing cutbacks at those prisons, we're seeing shutdowns, and that is kind of resulting in less economic opportunities. And, as one reader noted to me, a community can't survive forever on selling pizza to one another. They need long-term jobs that are there.
So, where else is kind of seeing these significant declines? I mean, I think some of the places that you cite are, in central New York, maybe a little bit in western New York as well.
Yeah, so one other place that I wrote about was Middleburg, which is Schoharie County.
That's central New York, sort of.
Yeah, yeah, central New York, but it's not too far. But they kind of saw a huge loss because of the tropical storm Irene back in 2011. And so that really cut down on their, population, a lot of residents moving out, but also just like the amount of housing they have available there.
That's an interesting one to bring up as well because it seems like, a natural disaster, like a weather situation, that was maybe one of the only ones that you can pin to a weather situation.
Yeah, at least in a list of top 50 places that we saw that had, the most population loss.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So there's the other central New York communities that you studied. Go tell us about what you saw there.
Yeah, yeah. We saw places like in the Finger Lakes, like Groveland. We also saw Georgetown in central New York. But, some of these places are kind of similar to North Country where, they also had prisons, but, that impacted them. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with kind of bringing it back to why places are gaining international migration. And so a lot of places that aren't large municipalities and aren't seeing as much economic investment aren't just seeing the same growth and thus are losing economic opportunities and people.
So, okay, so several state lawmakers are kind of, I don't know, panic, is that the right word? They're
Yeah.
they are raising the issue of, well, we need to do something about all of this population loss. Like what's going on with lawmakers with regard to New York population?
Yeah, some lawmakers are a little bit concerned. It's a big concern to see what they see as the greatest state, to see a lot of people leaving. But I think a lot of that concern comes from the smaller local politicians who are raising that concern, mayors of villages and stuff like that, who are concerned that they aren't getting enough investment from the state or they're not getting enough attention or support, and they feel like, they're kind of left to their own devices without any aid.
Oh, the town supervisor of Potsdam said, quote, "I really do think that Albany needs to get their head out of their ass."
Yeah, yeah. It's a very strong sentiment that a lot of people had. Of course, not like, not exactly using the same language as Marty Miller, but, very similar sentiment.
Yeah, that's a strong quote there. What are people suggesting is the solution for the shrinking populations? Like what can we do? What can lawmakers do? What can businesses do? Like what's the solution, I guess?
Well, people are saying that, population is very much correlated to the economy and, jobs available. And so people really just want to see the state help, smaller communities see more economic development, more economic investment in bringing long-term jobs. So that could be like a manufacturing facility, that could be some kind of like, I don't know, chip facility or something like that. Just something to bring in more people and, bring in younger people specifically who are, attracted to finding a job and finding a place to live. And so that is a huge thing that people want. And they want to see the state kind of invest money to help these little communities do that.
The situation kind of federally with a lot of uncertainty over things, like tariffs and the economic situation and geopolitics and stuff. Is anybody mentioning that in terms of what their outlook is for the future of New York State's population?
Yeah, in fact, several people from North Country, both from Malone and Dannemora, expressed kind of concern about, just political tension happening between the U.S. and Canada, because a lot of, communities that live on that border, their lives have been kind of, meshed together with Canadians for so long. They rely on visitors coming over, or sometimes they're just crossing the border, frequently to go like grocery shopping or like, just daily, activities. And so they are concerned, what does this mean for their businesses? What does it mean for residents? And what does it mean for, maybe companies that invest, right across the border? So yeah, that's a big concern.
You can read more of Ashley's reporting on New York population trends over at timesunion.com. Also, don't forget to check out our social channels for the latest news and some exciting stuff. That's it for this week. We'll be back soon with more from inside the newsroom. The Eagle is a production of the Times-Union. It's produced and edited by myself, Jessica Marshall, with help from Erica Smith and the Times-Union digital team. Our music is Flyin' by Top Floor. Special thanks to Rick Marshall and Ashley Soebroto for their contributions to this episode. Do you have questions or comments about the Eagle or any of our podcasts at the Times-Union? Don't be shy. Email us at podcast@timesunion.com.